This finish is as good as it comes off the machine. All the surfacing can get buffed right off the machine. Another item that has 3D surfacing that will actually get polished right off the machine as well. So no sanding is really needed here. On today's episode of American Made, we're going to discuss 3D surfacing. This is a technique that you can get complex contours on parts. We will specifically be doing it in a 3-axis machine. And just as a background, I'm a self-taught machinist. I use that term loosely as a joke. So I didn't go to trade school. I didn't have any mentor or anybody that was showing me anything. So I've learned everything in the machines kind of the hard way. Been a broken tools back there. So if you're not breaking tools, you're not learning. In my opinion, that's how I learned. But I'm going to go over some of the things that I do. And to give you guys a little idea, I used to be a metal finisher. So I did metal polishing prior to getting into the machining side of things. That kind of funded the CNC operation for me. But one of the things I always aim for now with my parts is a lot of my parts do get polished. So one of the things I aim for is to have the nicest finish, so there's really no prep. So if you're not familiar with metal polishing, usually you're sanding it to get it as smooth as possible, and then you're buffing it through multiple stages of wheels and compounds to get that mirror finish that everybody comes to know from polished, specifically in aluminum. So some of the items we're going to go over and show and discuss. This item here has surfacing all around it, and this finish is as good as it comes off the machine. The item you're going to see does not yet have the contour cut for the two pieces, but all the surfacing can get buffed right off the machine. And then we're also going to show another item that has 3D surfacing that will actually get polished right off the machine as well. So no sanding is really needed here. You can buff it right off the machine and get that mirror finish that people come to know. So let's get to it. So this is op one of that brake pedal assembly. So you can see we're going to take everything off, and then we'll flip it for op 2, and op 2 just soft jaws, and then we will get the final option there, or final result there. So in the op 1, you can see we've got some surfacing here. So there's multiple 3D surfacing tool paths or options you can use in different CAM softwares. So here there's a bunch of options in ours. I run with just a steady ramping down, and you can see that in the tool path indicated by the green line as it ramps down. So I do this, it's pretty consistent finish. This item is pretty, we'll say symmetric all the way around. So I like this tool path for this option. Here we're just going in with a 1/4 inch ball, 650-ish surface feet a minute, 2 thou feet per tooth. And I'm going in with a 10 thou step down, and we'll go over this cusp height here shortly. So to discuss that. And then on op 2, once we flip it, similar thing here, we're running same 1/4 inch ball. We're going to run same exact parameters. Here I'm running also a 10 thou step down. Sometimes I'll drop down to 5, but when I ran it at 5 thou step down, I didn't notice much of a difference here. Still with this 10 thou step down, we're good enough to polish right off the machine. So that's what we ran here for this pedal assembly. And now I'm going to dig into the cusp height and some of the things to think about when we talk about surface finish and prepping for a polished finish. So cusp height to surface finish, the smaller your cusp height, the better your surface finish should be, typically. So one thing that you'll often see is a polished finish can kind of be equated out to a very nice surface finish. So typically the lower your number, so if you're working in micro inch or even the RA scale, right? 0.5 is better than 1.0. So the lower your number, the better your surface finish. And one thing to note here is you can almost kind of look at each one of these lines that are linear. So this line, and we'll say this line. These would be kind of like your cusp height. So where the tool was not able to go. So if you picture in this direction of finish pattern here, this would be the direction that the tool is moving or cutting at. So one thing to note here is when you have light reflection, when light comes in, we'll highlight this in yellow, and it hits your surface, it will bounce back or refract at different angles depending on that feature. So the rougher the surface, you can see here, if I have light shining in that same direction and it hits here, right, it's going to bounce back in different directions. So now if we go and say we have a very nice surface finish, I'm drawing with a mouse here, give me some credit, and we'll say this line here that I just drew, this black line, here is our surface finish, right? It's not perfectly straight, which is good. Now, if you have light reflecting off that, we'll use blue here. It has no option, and it can't bounce into these crevices. So once you have light refraction, so we'll go back to our yellow here, right? Light comes in, and if it hits, right, it could bounce this way. It could try to bounce this way. It doesn't always bounce back to the source. So when you don't have different cusp heights or peaks and valleys for that to bounce off of, you get a very nice, almost mirror finish. So when you're polishing material and you or sand it or buff it, what you're doing is you're taking these peaks and valleys and you're knocking them down. So let's go here. So basically, you know, if you took all this out, you'd still have some areas here. Same thing, you know, you could come through, you could try to cut that out, but you still have some area here. So you could still have a nice finish, but you're not going to have that mirror finish. The goal is to have it as smooth as possible. So indicated by this black line here. Once you achieve this, you have a very fine surface finish and light will automatically tend to bounce back. That's why you'll see videos of people showing their hands on the sidewalls or whatnot, and when they start to see the reflection, while there's no actual metal polishing occurring, you're not using a compound or a buffing wheel, you're basically just having the peaks and valleys are knocked down and you have a very fine finish. So that's what we mean by cusp height. So in this example, if I change that step down, or you can drive it by cusp height too. So in this case, right, if I said I need a 50 thou cusp height, you can see my step over or step down changes. So this is going to be really ugly, but you'll see it in a second once it generates. So you can see it. I've got a huge step down. This is not going to be a nice finish. Light's not going to want to reflect off this. So the finer you go, so I usually go about 10 thou just to get that smooth finish. So you can see I have a cusp height of about 2/10. So that means in this example, the peak and the valley here, so this specific spot, we'll just redraw it here roughly for you. That means when I go in between these points, I have about 2/10 here of height, which is almost nothing. Buffing wheel will knock that down in no time. And that's actually what I aim for. So I aim for my polisher to not have to sand these products at all. He can go in with the buffing wheel and a compound, and a really good polisher will know what to do or what compounds to use to do that. So in this case, we should be good. So that's kind of what I mean by cusp height, driving surface finish, driving your post-processing. There's other things that come into play, like your smoothing tolerances. If you can't, so for instance, in my case, sometimes I'll get a little bit of jerk in the machine when it's coming around a corner and trying to step down. So let's turn our toolpath back on. So when I'm going down this green line, so when I went from this feature to this feature, or this line to this line in the toolpath, if you're doing a very small contour or something drastic at a very high speed, the machine can't keep up. So when it's trying to process that G code, it physically can't move to the next line quick enough. So you'll get a little bit of jerk or chatter. So you kind of have to watch that. I could run this a lot faster. I think I'm running 50 inches a minute, 60. So I physically turned it up to like 120 just to see how it would operate. Coming around these corners to get a little goofy. And again, I don't want my polisher to have to do anything post-processing. So that's what we aimed for. So that's kind of the approach I take for 3D surfacing. Again, I want to emphasize I'm not trained through tech school. I learned everything fumbling around, kind of tweaking things to how I think will work better. and just kind of trial and error is kind of how I've always operated. So I'm really curious what your guys' thoughts are on 3D surfacing, some things that you guys have done that have worked out well, or some tips or tricks. I'm always looking for new information. Never stop learning, especially in this industry. You're always going to learn something new. A lot of talented people out there. So drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts, any tips you guys might have had. And as always, stay tuned to Practical Machinists. Like, subscribe for more videos.